Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world, 12 years strong, and we have an abbreviated show for you this week. We have some vacations. We have some illnesses here at the PST Podcast Show this week, but we do have a great discussion with one of our friends as we dissect, analyze, and grade all 5 major Philly sports teams this week. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. Hopefully, we're going to be back next week with a full slate of an agenda for our main show. But in the meantime, enjoy this discussion right now with our awesome guest. And with that being said, I know we're going to have to take a break like right off the bat right here. We got to do it. But when we get back, I'm going to have my friend coming on and joining us here. Stick with us. And joining us from Fox Sports Phillies, the Gambler. Love having him on to talk Philly sports. We have the one and only Jon Jansen. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Phillies making moves. The Phillies giving up runs, but a lot of good things. Training camp. It's the most exciting time of the year, and I'm a wrestling fan too. So SummerSlam this weekend, which I'm excited about. 2 nights of good wrestling. Really good, exciting time of the year for sports where there's a lot of hope, optimism, and of the such. So it's good.
Absolutely. You are a young pup, my friend, talking about SummerSlam. I was at SummerSlam 1990.
Nice.
The main event steel cage match between the Warrior and Ravishing Rick Rude. I was third row. If you watch that, if you go to Peacock and you put that on right at the beginning, there's Power and Glory against the Rockers. Shawn Michael had a knee injury, so they made it seem as though Hercules' chain was going right into his knee. He wasn't able to get into the ring. But you'll see some classic. But you'll see where I'm going with this. You'll see some dopey kid with a Rockers homemade poster that he was right up above his head. I was like, what was I, 12 years old at the time? Or no, just turned 13 years old at the time. So that's me, folks.
So how devastated were you when the Rockers went away?
I was not happy about it, John. Yeah. I was not happy about it at all. And then the following pay-per-view, bless my dad's soul, took me up to Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, I love Hartford. Did you go to the XL Center? I think that's what it's called now, but I think it was
I think that's what it is now, but it was the Hartford Civic Center at the time, and it's where the Undertaker was unveiled.
I have a great Hartford story because I did ECU women's basketball and I covered the play-by-play. And I got stuck in Hartford, Connecticut. It's the only time WWE Raw has ever been canceled or they didn't do a show because there was 2 feet of snow. And so I was stuck in the hotel next to the arena with all of these WWE wrestlers and, of course, the UConn and ECU women's basketball team. It was wild. We were stuck there for almost a week.
That is awesome. Yeah, having the opportunity to see the debut of The Undertaker in the WWF at the time. I mean, he was on the $1 Million Team. It was a surprise partner in that Survivor Series. And he goes, I give you The Undertaker. The Undertaker comes out with his first manager. It wasn't Paul Bearer. It was Brother Love. I cannot believe we are talking about this right now as we need to get into the world of Philly sports here. Dear heavens, a trip down memory lane for sure.
Don't get me started with wrestling. Wrestling I can go too deep in.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, John, again, appreciate you coming on. It's great to see you. Great to talk to you. We want to grade where our Philly sports teams are at within this discussion right here. My friend, let's start off with a team that I think could be the easiest, to grade, and that would be the Philadelphia Eagles. They are the Super Bowl champions. They had a real nice draft. And when we look into the future, whether it's at certain offensive and defensive positions, as well as what future draft picks are slated to potentially do and the potential they have there, the future looks pretty bright, I think, for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm wondering what you would give them in terms of their grade. What would you give this team and organization and why?
Yeah, obviously it's an A+. Obviously we go tiers. It's S tier. It's God tier.
Yes.
And it's not just coming off of the Super Bowl. It's what do you do after that? What does your team look like after that? How are you able to try and repeat the success that you had, especially when they lose a lot of pieces? But that's where the grade comes in, like A+, amazing organization, because even though they lose pieces, there is either somebody waiting in the wings, like an anticipation of, we know this player is leaving. We know how to keep a roster healthy. So when somebody does leave, we have somebody behind him that we have developed. We feel confident in the talent and can step up and be a significant player. And I think right now we're kind of seeing that, a really good example of that with Moro Ojimo, who has looked incredible during camp. I know Zach Berman has talked about it a lot, that Ojimo has looked like one of the standouts of training camp. And that's an amazing thing, that Milton Williams, who looks like he could end up being like an incredible NFL player, has developed really well, stepped up. Now Ojimo comes in the same way Milton Williams came in a couple of years ago. So it's just that healthy turnover that the Eagles are able to consistently get good free agent signings. Even a bad one in Bryce Huff still doesn't hurt all that much. They get good free agent signings, good contracts, healthy contracts with really good players that they still are getting paid, but they're doing it in a way where they're able to pay more players, but also be able to continually rotate and cycle through different kind of developmental players and developing them enough that they become either Pro Bowl talents or significant contributors for a team. So like that's A+ to me, that they're able to do this. And that's a healthy organization. That's the healthiest football team, not just in terms of injury, but like healthy in terms of they are able to consistently put together a championship contending product and doing it through draft picks and all these other means. I don't know if there's any other football team or NFL team I have seen do that well in a very, very long time.
Yes, A+ for me as well, from everything you just said, John. But the fact that you have the growth in Howie Roseman that we've seen over all of these years, the fact that, yes, while there's certainly ego within the realm of front offices in terms of, there's only 32 of these positions in the world, but the fact that he's been able to learn and he's been able to develop plans of action and to be able to have that formula that you were just talking about and continue to implement it year after year, having an open mind about the talent that is coming in, how it can be developed by the coaches who he knows are solid in terms of what they are able to do with players. I mean, this is it's an A+ organization from top to bottom here.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of trust too. Like you have to trust. One thing they have to trust. They have to trust Ojimo to take that step up.
Yeah.
They have to trust Jalix Hunt to take that step up. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. In the absence of Nakobe Dean because of the injury, but they're bringing in Jahad Campbell. They have to trust Makuba, who's coming in as a second-round draft pick, or even Sidney Brown to step up. Cooper DeJean to take some reps. Adoree Jackson or Keely Ringo to take the outside spot. It's all things that are good, but they really trust themselves. I think with getting draft picks, especially in the middle to late rounds, developing and then using them as significant contributors in their third, fourth years, like the last couple of years remaining of their rookie contracts. It's a very good thing.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers. They have a new head coach in Rick Tocchet. They made some moves this offseason to shore up some young talent, and they also had a pretty interesting draft as well. This is a team with the amazing, and I say that we haven't even seen a fully developed yet, Matvei Michkov. I love what he was able to do on the ice. He was so fun to watch this past season, and he's only going to get better. He's looking to continue to develop more as his team and his organization. They want to become Stanley Cup contenders in the next few years. There's young talent. There is a core. What grade do you give this Flyers team and organization, and why?
Yeah, I think this is one where we're going to have to see towards the end of the season, like how much it all is going to pay off. But like so far, BB plus in that they are taking steps. It seems like the necessary steps, the right steps. This isn't a stalled rebuild. This isn't a fast-paced rebuild. This is especially being able to trade up and get 2 first-round draft picks in the draft. It seems like they get pretty talented players. And one of them I know is off going to college, but still, like you have this influx of talent. You know that this rebuild isn't going to take too long. You're not stalling in it. You're not waiting for it to happen. This is something that is going to happen, I think, pretty naturally sooner rather than later.
Right.
So I think the rebuild is going in a very healthy way. They seem to also have the right coach in place. I'll give Briere and Jonesy credit. They have a vision, I think, of what this team will look like. Now, again,
yes,
at the end of the day, is it maybe the right way this team is being built, or the vision works? I'm not sure, because I still think there is some, still some Flyers stuff there. Like they do rest on like they're an old school type organization, and I think they are changing, but there still is that part of them that they still can't let go of. So I'm not sure if that's going to hurt them more or not in the long run, but it does seem like they made a lot of necessary changes, and they do have much more. I think of a vision of where they want to take this.
I'm at a B plus. I'm right around that area with you. Why? Because of that vision. How many years did we have to deal with Chuck Fletcher? Danny Briere has been that breath of fresh air that us fans have wanted. The plan of action is here. Now, is he going to hit on every single move? No. But thus far, I think a productive and you go back to that word trust you were talking about with the Eagles players. I think the players are going to end up trusting and have been trusting Danny Briere's vision for where he wants to take this team. And the players understanding the world of hockey know that things aren't going to be, reset in 1 year, even 2 years. But that vision and that plan is what we have been seeing from Briere. I give it a B plus for sure.
Yeah, I again, in order for it to get better, like A plus, some of these moves are going to have to work, and I think that's where you give Howie Roseman. Like, I guess we are giving Howie Roseman kind of the benefit of the doubt, thinking like Ojimo is going to make moves, Alex Hunt.
Yeah.
So we can give them the benefit of the doubt because everything has worked. The Flyers that were still remain to be seen, but I think for the most part, it seems logical and reasonable what Briere is doing. So it with a guy like that, who doesn't have a lot of GM experience, who hasn't run a team, you're kind of concerned with, does he go too far into moves? Does he things just look inconsistent or maybe giving up too much for things at times? But I think inconsistency would be the big part of an inexperienced GM. But so far it seems reasonable, the things he's done. And that logic, I think, has put them in a good enough place that I think they can compete somewhat. But at least you can see that there is a clear path to being able to compete more within the next year, 2, 3 years.
All right. Next up here, John, let's get into the Philadelphia 76ers here. They drafted VJ Edgecombe. They have Tyrese Maxey as the leader of the future on this team here, yet we still have that trepidation about Joel Embiid, Paul George, and where they're at in their careers from a health standpoint. I mean, we know the storylines. It seems that year after year, month after month, week after week here at the end of July, as we're recording this, heading into August, what is Joel Embiid's health going to be, and even Paul George as well. Daryl Morey, I mean, honestly, he really stepped in shit when he when he got the number 3 overall draft pick this year at the draft lottery. I'm wondering what your grade is going to be for this team and this organization. Mine might be a little bit shocking for you when I give it, but I'm wondering what is yours based on where the 76ers are right now with what this offseason has meant for the future.
Yeah, I think the offseason was solid. You get VJ Edgecombe, which seems like, from what I've seen, the shot is going to be pretty good. And if the shot's good, like, he can end up being a really good two-way player, really good wing player, good wing defender with some size, a little bit smaller. Like, he tends to be more of a guard, but still, like, he's a good enough athlete that he should be able to guard most wings, and he could maybe be a bit of a 3-and-D for them, which is what they need.
Right.
The biggest problem, though, is you have this ESPN story come out, this feature, which is really well done by ESPN. I forget the writer's name, but he did a great job of talking with Embiid and really profiling where he is at in his career and all the things that have happened to lead up to where he's at. And the one thing that really took note of, it takes him so long, and it is a long, hard process to get him ready to play basketball. Yeah. Like, it is really extremely. There is a trainer that has to be there almost 24/7 to make sure this guy can go out on the floor and be effective. That is only going to get harder. It's going to get more difficult, and there's going to be times where it's just nothing is going to work. Yeah. So that's where I go maybe a CC plus. Like, I at least see the right pieces around Embiid, but the whole problem is your franchise player, the guy that's going to make the whole thing work, the guy that will win you a championship if you ever do. I just don't know if he's going to physically ever be able to do it. Just because his body seems like it's already breaking down. It's already a hard enough task to get him to play in the first place. Yeah. And the older he gets, the harder it'll get.
I got to tell folks out there too, we are going to be doing an entire podcast dedicated to the process at some point with my co-hosts, Eric and Len. We are going to be doing that. It is going to be very detailed. We're hoping to do that within the next few months here when everybody's schedules can sync up. I'm actually going to go with a grade of a B. And the reason why is one, because of the draft, because like you said, John, I think it was a very productive off season for where this team was, what they needed this season. You talk about VJ Edgecombe, you talk about, even what we saw with Adem Bona. I mean, there is some talent there. How much is he going to be coming off the bench? We're not 100% sure yet. Where I'm going with this is there have been a number of failures over the years with the Sixers organization, a number of draft picks that have not stuck, a number of just complete bombs and whiffs. Yet this team, yes, this past season was horrendous by all accounts, but this team, I think, even coming into this season, still has the opportunity to be a playoff team. And I think because of that, even given Joel Embiid's health, given Paul George's health as well, I think the fact that they can still be viewed as a playoff team, and who knows about getting out of that second round, I still think there's something to be said for that, even after all the whiffs, after all the years, after all the players who've decided that basketball was not for them, whether it was Markelle Fultz or Ben Simmons, and the fact that Joel Embiid still here after all these years. And yes, he is not a healthy guy. And like you said, the fact that it takes him so long to get ready for the season, I still think it's a B, for me. At this point where this team is at and where they could be going in the future.
Yeah, and that's where I don't disagree, because that's where the confliction happens with me, because one of the big things with Daryl Morey coming into the season, I think one of the bigger problems has been just athleticism, younger, athletic, and especially getting players that can play two ways. They don't have a lot of that. Like Maxey and McCain are one-way players. They're offense only. Maxey's gotten a little bit better on defense. But you don't really have two-way players. And so they were able to get this really athletic, like one of the most athletic players of the entire draft, who could jump out of the gym, who has this decent shot that you can really work with. And so far, it seems like they can develop shooters or have a good eye of finding good shooters after Maxey and McCain. But then also, like, they do get a younger player. Like, all of this is really great. And, everything around Embiid is good. It just sucks that the question is, will the body ever cooperate? And that's right. Like unfortunately what the bottom line is. But if you're taking into account, like, what does the roster look like, and with everything that you had and the Sixers had, how did they do this all season? Like, yeah, I thought Daryl Morey did a great job, and it's everything kind of the Sixers needed. Now it's just up to a thing that unfortunately just seems like it's never going to work out. And again, that's the health of Joel Embiid.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on here to a team that is sometimes forgotten about here in Philadelphia, and they shouldn't be, the Philadelphia Union. Right now, at this point in time of us recording this, they are atop of the Eastern Conference in Major League Soccer. Ty Baribo is having an amazing season, and he is really the engine of this team, a team that we all thought would be in the basement during this 2025 season. If you go back in the podcast feed, or if you're watching on YouTube, our Table Talk interview show from this past week, we specifically got into the Philadelphia Union. And look, while they desperately need to improve their goal scoring capabilities, because Ty Baribo, he can't do it all, they are still a title contender here. Absolutely surprised us. I am giving the Philadelphia Union a straight up A at this point right here. What grade would you give this team and organization, and why, John?
So yeah, and a good thing with scoring too, Mikel Ua just came back and gave him some really good minutes. So that's a great thing, and he's a good goal scorer. That's one of the more difficult things to replace him, because they never really had it to begin with. And so when they had guys like Carranza and Gazdag and Ua all at their best, really scoring a lot of goals, once that went away, especially Gazdag and Carranza when they both left, it wasn't really hard. Like, where do they go? And Ty has been really great. Ua being back is a really good thing. Some of the guys, again, getting older, like Quinn Sullivan, giving them a lot of good playing time. I still think, though, with the Union, and they've done great. This could have been a worse grade, because this was the biggest change the Union have made really in a long time, because it seems like they had everything in place. Ernst and Jim Curtin seemed to work really well, but that working relationship expired. And Ernst Tanner made the move, and it was a really shocking move. It was a really surprising move, considering how good Jim Curtin has been. But it seems like at this point, it seemed like it was a necessary move and a good move. And so, yes, I give Ernst Tanner credit for that. And it seems like now that some of the players are being utilized in the way that Ernst thought they were going to, and they're performing a lot better. Ty wasn't with Jim Curtin. He is now. But the problem is, and always going to be the problem with the Union, their best chance was winning that cup a few years ago.
Yes.
And really the big problem was they didn't have money coming off the bench.
They don't spend money. They don't spend money.
So until they do, like B minus, like great.
Yeah.
We've seen the union be able to do this. Take players that are either younger, a lot of homegrown players, taking players internationally that aren't going to be a lot of money, but finding good fits and playing well. This has already happened before.
Yeah.
So like this is nothing new. What is going to happen and what happened last time is once you reach a certain point of the season, especially in the postseason, and you get into these games and you start narrowing down teams, some of these teams are going to have players that are making a lot more money and a lot more talented than the players you have. And sometimes that gap just is never going to be closed. They were so close to it. And the only reason that gap was even a little bit too wide for them not to win is because Gareth Bale came off the bench and won the game for them. So until that happens for the Union, I believe that they're good, and I believe they can maybe even win the Eastern Conference. But at a certain point, just the lack of spending on players is I'm seeing the MLS spend more and more on international players and really top-end players. I just don't know if the Union can compete once it gets to a certain point of the season.
Yeah, you make some really good points there. I think B minus, B area. I actually think that's fair when you're looking at the overall picture of where this organization is at. What you just said, John, really reflective of what we were talking about on the Table Talk podcast this past week. So, buddy, before I let you go, first and foremost, why don't you get out all your social stuff, where folks can find you online before we get into our final Philly sports team here. Tell everybody where they can follow you out there.
Yeah, real easy. I'll keep it short. Just add Jon Jansen 34 on Twitter. Going to be doing a lot more with college football. I'm a Heisman voter, so I'm going to be doing a little bit more college football than I usually do, just really leaning all into that. So, yeah, just follow me at Jon Jansen 34.
Awesome. All right, finally, the Philadelphia Phillies. This team has been up and down throughout this season, and as of us recording this, they're second in the NL East despite a number of pitching challenges this year with Aaron Nola being injured for so long, since May. Jose Alvarado being suspended just a couple hours before we are talking here and got together here. A trade was made, amazingly enough. There's going to be another bullpen arm here, John. My buddy Eric and I were talking about it as well before bringing you on board. But when folks listen to this, the trade deadline will have passed. So I just wanted to throw that out there. When it comes to this Philadelphia Phillies team, again, a team that's mostly been in first place in the NL East. But again, those ups and downs, whether it's the bullpen, runners in scoring position is still an issue with this team, some batting as well. What grade would you give this Philadelphia Phillies team this season and why?
I would still, so it's really tough because like if you're just going to grade off the offseason moves are terrible. Max Kepler, Jordan Romano were really bad. It seems like they should have just signed Jeff Hoffman. They would have been okay. But they end up rectifying that, and they do get a really great closer in Duran. So he comes in. They have one of the best closers in baseball now, one of the best relief pitchers. I don't know if they will necessarily use him as a closer. But I can't – an organization that's continually near the top of the National League, that's continually in contending conversations – like, I get there are some things not to like about the Phillies, and I know when people are going to hear probably the grade I give it, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to give them an A. And I know people are going to hear that. That's what I'm going to
give them too.
I know people are going to hear that and, like, question, but, like, there's all these flaws, and Dave Dombrowski can do this and that. But this has been one of the best teams in baseball for 3-4 straight years now.
Yes.
And I know we are in the end of July, beginning of August. It is the worst part of the season to gauge teams because there are trade deadlines happening, a lot of trades happening, a lot of moving pieces. Like, this is just about to get started. Like, nothing is even heated up yet for these teams in terms of division races or anything in terms of competing for any pennants. But they are in a position and they have a roster that looks like, look, the Dodgers have problems. They have had lulls throughout the season. The Brewers have had bad parts of the season. The Cubs have had bad parts of the season. There is no team in baseball, not even Detroit, who has looked like the best team in baseball. They have looked terrible as of late. There is no legitimately great, consistent team in Major League Baseball, and the Phillies are no different. So, like, looking at the rest of the landscape, like they're competing. They're right there in it, and it's a roster that could absolutely contend for a National League, contend for a World Series, and not knowing how the trade deadline finishes and just knowing what happened now, like they should have the pieces necessary to do it. So I don't know. Like, some of the moves aren't great, and sometimes there are things to be critical of. But I can't blame an organization that's continually near the top and one of the hardest sports to be consistent in.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, if you don't agree with John and myself on it, on our grade of an A for the Phillies, Philadelphia Sports Table at gmail.com. Shoot us off an email. We'd love to read it here on the show and respond to it. John, buddy, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time, as always. Always great conversations about our teams that we're following here in the world of Philly sports. Come back, join us down the road. I'd love to have you back on the show.
Yeah, would love to be back on. Maybe a full-on wrestling show next time. Who knows? Who knows?
We could just go
Let's
right
get weird
through that late 80s, early 90s. I would love it, my friend. Let's do it.